Hello and shalom, everyone. This is Mayim Vega, and welcome to the Arukah Holistic Podcast once again. Here we explore transformative paths to wellness, healing, and empowerment. At Arukah.com, our mission is to equip individuals to become holistic healers through our Holistic Healer Certification Program, which includes naturopathic herbalism, holistic life coaching, and online business and marketing. Today, I'm excited to introduce a guest whose incredible journey and diverse expertise bring a wealth of insight into mental health and resilience. Melody Murray is a licensed marriage and family therapist and a child mental health specialist who has dedicated her life to helping people, especially young individuals and families, navigate crisis and trauma. With years of experience as a mental health evaluator in a hospital ER, Melody has worked extensively with patients facing suicidal ideation and trauma-related struggles. As a former TV producer and stand-up comedian, she brings a unique blend of empathy and humor to her work, making complex emotional issues more accessible and relatable. Melody joins us to discuss crucial topics like setting boundaries with toxic family members, understanding attachment styles, and managing mental health challenges. Her book, Mourning the Living When the Loved One You've Lost is Still Here, and her upcoming book, My Bounce Back Plan, Designing Your Own Healing Formula, reflect her dedication to guiding others through their healing journeys. In our conversation, we'll explore how Melody's own life experiences have shaped her approach to mental health, helping us understand why self-care can be so challenging, yet so essential. Welcome, Melody. Thank you for spending this time with me today.
Thank you so much. I love being here.
Awesome. And I love you here, by the way. And well, we're going to discuss your books, of course. You're the one that is already out and the one that's coming. But your background is just sounds so fun and colorful. And
I know it's all over the place, right?
please take us from square one.
I will try to be as succinct as possible. Um, and went to college with a major in hotel and restaurant management and quickly got in it and said no, because people are always going to be staying in my house because I wanted to open a bed and breakfast. So I had some interest in television and I started acting and doing commercials and ended up hosting a children's show for a while, and then learned more and more about the industry and realized that I wanted to go down that road, but I didn't have to go to college in order to work in television. So I kept going and I finished with my degree in hotel and restaurant management, never spent one day working at a hotel or a restaurant, and started working in television and left Houston, went to LA, did and worked my way up from, the lower rungs of being a production assistant to becoming a producer and a director in reality TV. I did some game shows and
What
then
shows, if you don't mind me asking?
The Real World, Bad Girls Club, Janice Dickinson Modeling Agency, Last Comic Standing, and was in those shows. And reality shows are, what you see on camera is very intense, and when you're in it and you're on set, it's that much more intense. But my role as a producer or director, depending on the show that I was working on, is not to intervene. It is not to stop you. A lot of people say, oh, reality shows are scripted. Some of them are heavily manipulated, absolutely. Many of them are absolutely true documentaries, and that's what I worked on. And so the cast were electric all the time. That is why they are chosen. And, navigating all of those personalities simultaneously with your crew, and you've got the network, and then you've got your own experience, whatever you're personally feeling when something intense is happening. It's a lot. And I realized I wanted more input. I wanted to be able to say on some of these shows, why are you having another shot? why are you having sex with this person? Like, what is your motivation behind this or that? You know, I was curious why people were doing certain things. And I was really curious how people would react to different things that would happen to themselves or to their roommates or what have you. And I realized, you know, after several years of myself being in therapy and learning so much about me and what motivated me and what caused me to react in certain ways. I was so fascinated by human behavior. And I went to my own therapist one day after being on a set of a horrible show that I was working on that I did not mention. This project was it just sucked. And I ended up quitting early and went to my therapist and I said, I figured out what I want to do. I got to get out of TV. I know what I want to do. He goes, what is it? I said, I'm going to tell you, but you're going to have to tell me if I'm too crazy to do it. And he goes, what? And I said, I want to be a therapist. I want to go back to school so I can become a therapist. And he gave me so much support. He's like, I think that you'd be brilliant at it. I think that you have a true nature for non-judgmental connection with people. And so I did it. I ended up ending my TV time, going back to school, getting my master's in clinical psychology. And there was some overlap in the beginning where I was still directing shows or producing shows as I was going through school. And then once I graduated, I completely crossed over. And now I'm crossing over again to where I'm blending these two worlds, where I'm doing more on-camera stuff, talking about mental health. So it's like my loves, psychology and television are blending together, which is it's a dream come true.
But this time you're not producing. Well, you're producing also, but you're the star of the show, right? You're educating, you're helping people and speaking, right?
That's an interesting way to put it. That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah, my books are what I'm producing right now. Writing is what I'm producing right now. So yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm gonna pull up is it okay if I pull up your first book? Say share screen. I know how to do this. There we go. Very interesting title, Mourning the Living, when the loved one you've lost is still here. Tell me the motivation behind this book and the title.
And it's funny, whenever I mention this title to people, oh, the gasps I would hear. Mourning the living. No, we typically associate mourning with people who died.
Right.
But, you know, when relationships go sour, when they fade away, there's a mourning that needs to take place to honor, you know, what you had with someone and, you know, the death of expectations of a relationship. And I wrote the book based on my relationship with my older sister. I'm one of 4 kids, and my older sister, you know, went the path of our mother, which was she became a drug addict and she emotionally abandoned and financially and physically abandoned her children. And our mother did the same to us. And, you know, the decisions that my sister made affected so many people. And, you know, she was kind of a bull in a china shop. And it was so hard to reconcile who she was to me growing up. She was my protector, best friend. You know, we went through so much trauma together as children. And then, you know, fast forward, you know, a few decades and seeing that she decided to make the same mistakes that caused the same pain that we felt. She caused that to her own children. And I was so angry for so long and, you know, disappointed and all of those things. And I just realized that I was wrestling with who she was and who she wasn't and who she was never going to be again. And I needed to mourn her. And, you know, I realized with the work that I was doing with my clients, you know, there's so much grieving that takes place when you are reflecting on your relationships and your family and your childhood. There's a lot that there's a lot of feelings that you have to come to terms with. You've got to identify what it is that you're feeling, and then you've got to, in a lot of ways, grieve And, you know, there's a lot of grieving that happens when it comes to our parents. And I realized as I was writing the book, I was talking about my sister, but I was talking about my parents as well. So the book is not a memoir. It is not an autobiography. It is a tool that you can use as you are coming to terms with how do you manage the difficult relationships with the closest people to you. So each chapter in the book is a different relationship dynamic. Starts with your father. So it's a bunch of stories about people who've had to, you know, walk away from their toxic parent. Or if their toxic parent has been absent, how do you deal with all the emotions that you feel with this person that lives across town or in a different country? Like, how do you handle all of the stuff that's inside you and still feel okay with it? Because we have been taught in a lot of cultures, honor thy father and thy mother. And you feel bad for having very true and honest feelings about someone who's done you wrong when when you're told you're supposed to have undying love and respect for someone. But what if that person is your parent and they're your primary bully? They're the person that has abused you more than anyone. How do you handle that? So each chapter is a different relationship dynamic that includes parents, siblings, friends, lovers, and then the last chapter is ourselves, because there are changes that we make and that we need to grieve who we used to be. You know, like substance abusers, you know, you were once an abuser and now you're sober, and trying to love the other parts, you know, all parts of yourself. I have a girlfriend of mine who's trans, and she, you know, was born male, became female, and how she has navigated loving the person that she's finally able to be, but also putting to bed the person that she used to be. And so it's a combination of stories from clients and stories from people that have submitted them to me about how they've navigated toxic, close relationships so that they can heal themselves and feel better about the choices that they've made in order to live, coexist with people that aren't who you hoped they would be in your life.
Mm. Wow, that's very interesting.
Mhm.
So, why do people need to mourn? What's the advantage of mourning the living?
Mhm.
And if you don't do that, then what do you think the consequences are?
Mhm. I think it's important to look at all facets of ourselves and a person. You know, I don't think that it's fair that, you know, let's say a relationship ends, there's a breakup that happens. Not everything that occurred in that relationship was horrible. If it was, the relationship wouldn't have lasted as long as however long it lasted. So I think it's important to have a balanced view of a person, so that you don't just focus on the negatives. You know, I think that that's unfair to yourself. It's unfair to the other people involved. But so you have to look at the good and the bad. And, you know, and I think that sometimes you have to, you know, especially if it's a romantic breakup, a lot of times people would just focus on the good, and that can force is a strong word, but lead someone to go back into a relationship because they've ignored the bad things. They've only focused on the good things. And so I think it's important to have a balanced view of a situation and of people in your lives. But when you know that you've tried all that you can to, you know, have a successful connection with someone and it's just not working, mourning them is necessary. And you have to have a full picture, because let's say that you decide you've been stressed out trying to figure out if the relationship should continue or not. You've set boundaries, they've ignored your boundaries, they've trampled all over them. You need to be able to be honest with yourself about the problems within the relationship, so that will give you the strength and the confidence to sever the ties and end it altogether. So that's the thing. It's like you can mourn someone that's still walking around and living. And I think it's important to give it that weight, you know, that I cared and I loved and I had expectations and they just didn't work out. It's a way of validating the investment that you put in a situation if you allow yourself to grieve it.
Yeah. Okay. I get it now.
Mhm.
So when someone like my father, you know, it was a double-sided relationship. my childhood with him was really good. And then for some reason, when I became older, the relationship wasn't very good. I strayed away from his religion, and he didn't like that. And so there was a rift there. And he also, he started in his older age, started getting really just mean to my mother, like verbally abusive. And I wanted her to divorce him, really. But she was so faithful to him, and she just stayed with him. And I was kind of upset with him, but I felt bad for him because he was an orphan when he was 12 years old. So he had a really hard, lonely life in his childhood. And so I also kind of understood all the things that he was coming from. And while he was alive, there was a lot of tension because of, thinking, how should I be with him? But then he finally passed away. I could say, you know what? There's a lot of hard times, but I still honor the person who he is. And then I'm completely at peace with it. And then I had a different relationship with someone, and he was very close to our family. It was a friend, it was a family friend. He was very close to our family. Actually, this has happened many times in my life. When we've had very close friends to our families, and then for some reason there's a huge disagreement, and for some reason the relationship can't go on. Instead of hoping and thinking and wishing and trying to always mend the relationship, just to cut ties as if you will never be friends again. But it was sweet while it lasted. Your paths went different ways, and they'll never be in your life again. So it's kind of like treating them like they're dead, not in a disrespectful way, but in order to maintain peace. And when you do that, when you let yourself accept both the good and the bad that happened, and also accept the finality of the ended relationship, that can be very healing. And that I think can open the door to true forgiveness, because you don't have to try to get back into the relationship with them. You can just be like, it was nice while it lasted. Right? Does that kind of
You don't have to. I think that, yeah, I like that. It was nice while it lasted. It was good for a while. I think that a lot of times that, we get to this place where we're deciding whether or not that we can continue in a relationship, because relationships need to be reciprocal. They need to be mutually respectful. And if they aren't, it's not a relationship. And I think a lot of times people think that they have to keep trying, and then you lose yourself, you abandon yourself in a situation where you're doing all the work to maintain it, and the other person just doesn't care. They're selfish and they're only focused on their own needs, and that's a hard thing to understand, especially when it's someone really close to you. But you have to understand that there's a certain way that you're supposed to live to honor yourself, and if other people aren't honoring you, then what is it? A relationship? The book talks about, many times I talk about denial is not for, this isn't about being in denial and hoping, and about being a part of, crossing your fingers on someone's potential. This is not about codependency where you're enabling someone that constantly harms you. The book teaches people how to have boundaries with the hardest people to have boundaries with: your friends and your family. It's necessary. And I think that it becomes easier as your self-esteem rises and your confidence grows. It becomes easier to put the line in the sand and say that you can't treat me this way. But if you're not, if you're not confident in yourself, and if you don't believe in yourself, and if your self-love isn't where it should be, it's hard to do that, because if you don't love yourself enough, you're looking constantly for other people to love you. And so you're willing to abandon yourself in order to have people in your world. But you have to understand, like, if this isn't a person that's positive, if this isn't a healthy person, then what's the point? What's the point? We're supposed to be fed spiritually in our relationships. We're supposed to come out of spending time with someone uplifted, energized, happy. And that's an important way to figure out if you need to set boundaries with someone or if you need to consider not having them in your life. How do you feel before you're about to engage with someone? Here in America, we're about to have, the holiday season's coming. And, there's an expectation to gather with family and friends. But if you feel anxious, if you feel angry, if you find that in your mind that you're constantly rehearsing potential conversations with people, that means that this isn't a mutually respectful dynamic. And maybe you need to set boundaries around it, have conversations with people, let them know how you're feeling, but first have a conversation with yourself. And think about how much do you value this interaction. I think that's an important thing. If you find that you feel tense and nervous before you're hanging out with someone, that is a big sign that something needs to change. After you've spent time with someone and you feel exhausted, you feel depleted, or you feel angry, also a big sign. So you have to read yourself, pay attention to yourself, honor yourself, and that validation is necessary, because how you feel whenever you're in relationship with someone is extremely important. And if you find that you don't feel good, then you need to make a change.
Yes, certainly. It's really important to
Mhm.
listen to your intuition and, the spirit that is trying to guide you. So
Mhm.
what about your new book? What's the title of that again? I know I mentioned it, but and how is it different? What's the motivation for that one?
Sure. The next book is called My Bounce Back Plan, Designing My Own Healing Formula. And the reason I wrote this book is because I had a brand new client. She was an executive at a tech firm. And she said to me, she goes, "What are you going to do to me?" And I go, "Excuse me?" Like, before I talk to all new clients, I always have a consultation so that we can see if we're on the same page and if we're a good fit. And so I'd spoken to her about my background and my training and how I work with clients. But this was different. And I said, like, "What do you mean? You already know these things. What do you mean?" She goes, "I just want to know the path that I'm going to go on so I can kind of prepare my head for what's lying ahead." And I thought, "Oh, that's brilliant. That's really, really great." And so what I ended up doing was reviewing all the past clients that I'd worked with for an extended amount of time. And I realized that there were similarities in the things that I had done with them. And so this book, it's steps, it's not chapters. Each section is a step, and it is how you can heal yourself when you've experienced a recent loss, a breakup, you lost a job, you lost a house, you had a medical emergency, something big has changed in your life and you need to bounce back from it. But therapy is not accessible to everybody. Financially, culturally, it's not something that everybody can get. And so this book is meant to be that guide where you can teach yourself how to take care of yourself. Now, this book has a caveat. The caveat is it is not meant for people who are in, it's not meant for people who are in current domestic violence relationships. And it is not meant to, be your guide to help you through chronic trauma. And it is not meant to be what you use instead of going to therapy if you had childhood trauma, chronic trauma. It's not meant for that. It's meant for there's something that has changed in my life right here, right now, and I need to be able to get my life back on track. So each step is a different set of coping skills, like, creating your own healing crew. How do you get people around you that are also healing and maybe they're a little further down the road? People that will support you, they understand the healing journey, they will give you tips, they'll mentor you to an extent. Thought challenging and self-talk. What are the things that you say to yourself in your head? Or what are the things that are constantly on replay that you didn't program? They were programmed in you by a toxic parent. So each step is a way that you can, figure out new ways to handle your nervous system. What do you do when you're super anxious or overwhelmed? And so I give you a bunch of ideas, and then there's space where that you can then add in the new things that you learn as you're connecting with other people, as you're doing different things to help yourself, there's space where you can update your coping strategies. Because as we feel stronger, as we feel healthier, our self-esteem rises. And so there are things, as we're growing, there are things that helped me at this stage in my life that it doesn't work anymore. I need something deeper. I need something more intense, or I need something lighter because I did the deep work already. So it grows with you, and that's why it has space for you to grow and add new things to it as you learn. And that the goal of it is that, as life's, because things are always happening. There's always something that we've got to heal from. You don't have to start from ground zero every single time something happens. You grab this workbook and you go through it and you go, okay, the last time I did this, these are the exercises that I did. This is the spiritual practice that I really got a lot out of. I'm going to go back to these things because these things helped me. And then let's say I found new things to do. I'm going to write that down and remind myself that these are the new things that I can do to help myself feel stronger again as fast as possible.
Okay, so it sounds like it's not just a book, but also like a workbook.
It's a workbook. It's an actual workbook. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Those are fun.
Yeah. It just makes me think like school as I was a kid. Like I loved school. School was my safe place. And, having homework to do and writing things down and educating yourself, the book is meant to build self-awareness. And so you're learning what makes you tick. You're learning what helps you feel calm, what helps you feel safe, what helps you feel strong. You're building up those skills. It's self-awareness building.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, when is that coming out?
That'll be out in early December.
Okay, that's very soon. That's great.
It's coming up. It's coming up.
And then you've got your website here. If anyone would like to connect with you, do you help people locally as well as online, virtually?
Well, therapists cannot work with people internationally or even nationally. Therapists can only work with people in the states where the therapist is licensed. So I'm licensed in Washington and Texas, and soon to be California and North Carolina. So I can only work with those clients. But I have created online classes that people can do one-on-one, or they can do them in a group forum as well. So those can be accessed on my website. And I do a lot of appearances too. And so you can check that out and become a part of my newsletter and all that good stuff too.
You do public speaking, right?
I do public speaking. I love talking to a crowd. It's one
Me
of my
too.
favorite things to do, is to help people and be in an environment with the energy of healing. That's my jam.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, awesome. Then you've got your podcast here too. Oh no, you've been on a lot of podcasts. You don't have your own right now.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, it was such a pleasure to meet you, get to know you, learn about your colorful history and everything that you're doing to serve humanity, to help people. And it's a very important thing to do, is learn how to break free from toxic relationships and mourn the relationship, but still, appreciate the good that was in it, just like you did with your sister. And also, there's also a hope of resurrection, right? There's always that people can change, but we don't have to. It's not our job to make people change, for sure.
Our job to take care of ourselves.
Yes. So, do you have just a closing thought before we go that you'd like to leave with?
Yeah. As I'm talking to new clients and talking to people who are hesitant to dive into therapy, I like to always say that, the very thing that is hard to think about and remember is a part of your strength. And, some people are fearful of remembering past traumatic events because they're afraid they don't know how to handle what could come up. And I always think you've already survived the moment. So whatever comes up, you'll be able to handle it because you've already survived the moment. So, therapy is about, being able to talk about your stuff in a non-judgmental environment so you can look for the lessons in it. So you can remember the strengths that you gained from all the things that you've survived. So take a chance on yourself and believe that you're going to be strong enough to handle it, and you're going to be stronger because you've taken care of yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for your books that will help many people who don't believe they can afford therapy. I think that's excellent.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal. You don't have to go that traditional route. You can read and learn and listen to podcasts. There's so many ways that you can heal yourself.
And take online classes.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And please let me know when your book comes out. And I hope to see more of you and hear more from you in the future.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to your people.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Algar and I am the host of Expertise TV, and I'm very excited to be introducing you to our guest today, Mayim Vega. Now, Mayim Vega is a former NASA computer scientist turned holistic healer after facing a very personal health crisis, which the modern medical system could not resolve. In 2009, she founded Arukah.com, which offers an holistic healer certification program focusing on 3 pillars: naturopathic herbalism, holistic life coaching, and online business and marketing to empower people to become holistic healers and achieve maximum impact in the world. Mayim combines her scientific background, natural healing methods, and faith in the creator and great physician to guide others on a path to personal and professional well-being. Mayim, it's clear that you are very passionate about the topic of holistic health and particularly helping people who are wanting to transition into this approach. How did you find yourself in this line of work, and why is this work so important to you?
Thank you, Ashley, for taking the time to speak with me. And I'd love to answer that question. So, the way I found myself in this line of work starts with my story of when I transitioned from becoming a computer scientist at the NASA Ames Research Center to becoming an entrepreneur and building my first online business in digital marketing. And the reason why I did that is so that I could stay at home and be with my newly born son at the time. And now I have 7 children of my own, and I always wanted to homeschool them and just be there for them. And so that's why I became an entrepreneur. But my first few years as an entrepreneur was extremely difficult. And I thought it was healthy, but later on, after all my studies, I realized there were a lot of things that I was doing that was not very healthy. They were not very healthy habits that I had. And what ended up happening was I got really sick and I thought I was on my deathbed. And I was rushed to the emergency room. And the doctor actually thought that I had a brain tumor. But after extensive testing and examination, she told me that there was nothing wrong with me. I just, I was experiencing a lot of pain, but they had nothing for me. There was nothing they could do for me. She said that she could give me some really strong painkillers, but that's really it. She couldn't really get rid of the problem. And so I took the painkillers, but again, painkillers and any pharmaceutical drug never address the root cause of illness and disease. And that's exactly why this line of work is so important to me and why I went on my own personal journey to become a holistic healer, to study nutrition, herbalism, holistic health, and holistic life coaching, is because we all know people, and maybe probably even ourselves, who, just like me, went to the modern medical system because that's the expected thing to do. That's a normal thing to do. And, tried to get health and healing that way, but hit a dead end, hit a brick wall, and we either got medications that didn't work or that only worked for a while, or that caused side effects that were so terrible that we had to get on other medications, plural, and maybe even the medication or medications caused side effects that caused other health issues. And sometimes the health issues are worse than the first problem that you originally had. And we're on this ridiculous roller coaster of drug after treatment after procedure, because the modern medical system never addresses the root cause. And medical professionals who have woken up know this. And that's why I have medical professionals in my program, including, doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, medical technicians, etc., who are learning from me, who are, taking the certification program, because they realize that our system is broken and we need to fix it. It is our destiny as humanity to overcome all this nonsense, really. We can do better and we will do better. I know it. And that's why, in my certification program, sometimes I joke around. No, it's not really a joke, but I say, I'm empowering not just holistic healers, but holistic warriors. We're in a battle. We're in a battle over our own health and healing to safeguard and protect that, and that of our families and friends and community, of course, as well. And we're also in a battle against very powerful people who, because of profits, like to suppress holistic health and healing truths to keep us just sick enough so that we need something, pharmaceuticals, but not well enough to ever get off them. That is truly the goal of big pharma, of the pharmaceutical industry. It's not true. They don't want to heal us. They don't want to cure us. They want to keep us just sick enough so that we keep giving them our money. And you know what? Me personally, I have better things to spend with my money, like on good food, clean herbs, things that don't cause these ridiculous side effects that we experience with pharmaceutical drugs.
Thank you, Mayim. So that brings me to my next question. What are some of the key benefits of transitioning from the conventional healing approach to a holistic approach in health and healing?
Okay, so that's another really great and important question. The key benefits of transitioning from conventional healing to a holistic approach are, right now, I can think of three main reasons. Number one, the holistic approach is safer. Number two, the holistic approach is more effective. And number three, the holistic approach is the true approach that gets to the root cause. Okay. Now, I'd like to illustrate the first point, the safety of holistic medicine. If someone who was taking some, let's say blood pressure medication or something like that, visited me at my house, let's say I invited them over for dinner, and let's say they had to take some of their medicine and they dropped one of their pills, right, in my dining room or in my living room floor. Now, I have very small children. I have a 4-year-old. And what if my 4-year-old found that pill on the floor and thought it was candy or something like that and put it in her mouth and ate it? What would happen? I would immediately have to call the poison control center to get that pill out of her system, because those pills can have deadly side effects. But what if someone dropped a vitamin C pill or a tincture, and one of my children found it? For the most part, if they found it and took it, they might have a little diarrhea. It might be really spicy on their tongue, and so they would stop taking it. But no, I wouldn't have to control the poison control center, because vitamins and herbs and minerals are extremely, like 1,000 times safer than pharmaceutical drugs. There's a few types of, supplements that you might have to call the poison control center, but for the most part, no, you won't have to do that because our body knows how to work with those substances. It is not a drug. It is a healing tool. Okay. So completely safe. Also, exercise, diet, those are all safe, right? Sleep, those are all part of holistic health and healing. Completely safe, zero side effects. Now, let's talk about the effectiveness. The holistic approach is more effective. And the reason why we know this is because in my practice, and this is the experience of many holistic healers, when it comes to the conventional ways with the pharmaceutical drugs, as I said before, they don't deal with the root cause. They just mask symptoms. So, you might take a cough suppressant, let's say, for example, but if you are not dealing with the root cause, why are you coughing in the first place? Why do you have allergies? Why do you have the flu, etc.? Why is your immune system not strong enough to overcome this in just a few hours or just a day or two overnight? Why? Because you have not built up your immune system. You haven't boosted it or lived the kind of life that you need to in order to avoid those common illnesses altogether. I have one of my students is a medical doctor, and she said that she used to take anti-allergy drugs every single week because of her allergies. The allergy drugs don't boost your immune system; they just suppress it. They just oppress your allergy symptoms. But when you have allergy symptoms, it's your body talking to you and telling you, hey, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this thing that you're eating or this environment that you've just stepped into because of my state of being. I'm not strong enough. That's what your immune system is saying to you. But I taught her a really powerful vitamin protocol that actually boosts your immune system so that your immune system is strong enough to overcome allergies. And so that's the difference. It is effective because it is true. It is true holistic health and healing because it strengthens your immune system. It doesn't silence it, like I said before. And the third issue is the root cause. Holistic health and healing deals with the root cause, and the conventional approach of drugs and surgery, etc., does not. That doesn't mean that you sometimes don't need surgery, for example, or in an emergency situation need a drug, but you're not dealing with the root cause. And if you deal with the root cause, you can make your problems either go away or become extremely minimal, safely, effectively, and naturally without poisoning your body and causing the roller coaster of side effects.
Mayim, you have developed an incredible program that you've already mentioned called the Arukah Holistic Healer Certification Program, which you have specifically created for those looking to either transition into the holistic approach or for those who are wanting to grow in their knowledge and practice. Can you talk us through what differentiates this program from other similar programs that are currently out there?
Thank you, Ashley. Yes, the certification program at Arukah.com is really, truly incredible. And there's a few things that set it apart, actually, many things, but I'd like to focus on a few. And one of them is that when I designed the program, I designed it for someone who was in my situation many years ago, someone who was a busy mom who had a lot of work to do and a lot of things on her plate, but still wanted to empower herself with the knowledge of holistic health and healing for herself, for her family, so she could take care of her family, and maybe even build a career where, very specifically, she could stay at home and, just like me, be a stay-at-home mom. And, even a homeschool mom. I've been a homeschool mom. My oldest is 20 now, and I homeschooled him the whole way. And he's already graduated college, and he's got a computer science degree, and he's an entrepreneur himself. I instilled that dream in him. So being able to, I was able to surpass my income at NASA, and still homeschool my children. It's pretty awesome achievement. And so I wanted to empower people in my program to do exactly the same as I've done, to become a holistic healer, to have a successful online business so that they can have time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom, meaning that there's no glass ceiling. No one who you need to get a raise from. You just have to help people. That's how I get paid, is when I help people, right? And so that's one of the advantages. Another advantage is it's very hands-on and apprenticeship based. And you could go to a college to study to become a naturopathic doctor, or another holistic professional like a chiropractor. But it's going to take a lot more money, and a lot more time as well. This program can be completed in 1 year, but because all of my students pretty much are busy professionals already, or busy moms, it's self-paced. So if you have a lot of things on your plate, it's okay. It's still going to be there for you. There's not like a time limit. You're not going to, your grade's not going to be lowered because you submit an assignment late or anything like that. It's self-paced. And so I've designed it for the busy mom, or the working woman. And another thing that sets it apart is we have three core pillars in our program. One is that our students study naturopathic herbalism. And that takes up the bulk of our program. And naturopathic herbalism includes studying the foundations of holistic health and healing, identifying toxins and detoxification, also nutrition and orthomolecular nutrition, or megadose vitamin therapy, as well as herbalism, which includes also homeopathy and aromatherapy with essential oils. And also they study Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine. But it's mostly focused on Western medicine, Western herbalism, excuse me. And then the next core pillar, the second one, is holistic life coaching. And the reason why holistic life coaching is part of the program is to incorporate the mind spirit aspect of it, right? If herbs and supplements are the alternative to pharmaceutical drugs, well, holistic life coaching is like the holistic alternative to psychiatry. It deals with the mind and the spirit, and spirit has to be part of it because we are spiritual beings. We're not just physical beings. We're also spiritual beings. Now, a lot of holistic health and healing schools are based on different religions, New Age, or other pagan religions. And this program, because I'm Jewish, is based on the Creator. It's based on the Bible and biblical principles, Judeo-Christian principles. And so therefore I have a lot of people who are of that faith persuasion, Jews, Christians, or people who maybe, they don't really identify as Jewish or Christian, but they're open to it, or they grew up in that faith, and they don't necessarily want all the new age spirituality. They want the kind of spirituality that they are comfortable with and used to. That's another thing that sets us apart. And life coaching is all about mindset and how to have healthy relationships with yourself, with others. Of course, also, with food and your body and lifestyle. Holistic life coaching encompasses all of that. And it's a very important part of holistic health and healing, especially because stress is often the root cause of many illnesses, common illnesses, and also chronic diseases. So, that mind and spirit aspect is very important. And the third aspect is online business marketing. And again, the reason why that's important is because, as I told you, I really want my students to thrive and to be able to, have that time freedom location freedom, and financial freedom, which an online business provides, but also because, there's not a lot of jobs for herbalists, or life coaches even. And so we really have to be entrepreneurial. And it's very, very rewarding. And because of my background, with my digital marketing business, my first business, I can really help people in that department.
Thanks so much, Mayim. So I love the power of testimony and hearing people's personal experiences or journeys. Can you share some of the success stories that might be coming to mind or testimonials from past students?
Yes, we certainly have a lot of success stories and testimonials, and we'll show some of those testimonials at the end of our talk today in this video. But I could talk about a few of them that are maybe recent. One of them is one of my students. She told me that she wanted to become a nutritionist, but I guess her life's journey didn't really allow for that. So when she heard about my program, my certification program, when it first launched, she joined, and she really wanted to help her husband, who had been suffering from colitis under the care of doctors for about 20 years, ever since he was in the military. And he was going from medication to medication and, suffering with diarrhea and insomnia and restless legs and indigestion and, all these terrible things that colitis can cause. And so I actually created a custom module for her to help her husband with that. And in 2 months, she helped her husband get off the medication and heal from colitis using food and herbs and natural holistic healing methods. So that was a great accomplishment for her. And I get people, contacting me saying that I helped them grow their hair back, or actually someone said, "Oh, you helped save save a little girl's life." Just beautiful, wonderful things like that. You helped me heal my daughter. You helped me grow, regrow my teeth so I don't have pain from cavities anymore. Like just all these wonderful testimonies. And that's the reason why I love doing what I do. And and you will too, if you join the program. It's so rewarding and fulfilling to understand and to know that you are helping people, truly helping people in ways that they can't get in the modern medical system. It's so rewarding.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that, Mayim. I can only imagine the sense of reward when people start applying these principles to their lives and actually see a change and transformation. And for somebody as passionate as you are around this topic, to witness that and to be a part of that, I imagine that the reward is priceless. So another common question that arises is, once someone completes the program, what are some of the practical steps one would take in order to start a successful career in holistic health?
Okay, that's a great question. And that's actually what the third pillar of our program is all about is, what do you do? Practical steps and what you would do to start a successful career in holistic health. And in that program, we teach our students how to create a high ticket transformational health coaching program that really helps people deal with a serious problem, a serious health issue. And that doesn't mean that it's a deadly, problem, but it can be something that really affects their life, right? Even skin disorders can really affect your life, right? Even though it's not necessarily deadly. Weight loss could be something that is dealing with a serious issue. There's so many different types of health coaching programs that one can make, anxiety, depression, hormonal issues, etc. So they build, it's part of the program. They will do this while they're still in the program, and we'll support them the whole way, is to build that first high ticket health coaching program, and then set up their online assets, such as their website, their social media, a video sales letter, press releases, podcasts, all those things that online entrepreneurs need in order to connect with people, get their message of health and healing out there, and build and grow and scale their business.
Thank you so much, Mayim. It's been so great talking with you today. But before we close, for those that would like to get started on the journey to becoming an holistic healer and wanting to learn a little bit more about the certification program, how do they go about contacting you?
Yes, it's been wonderful talking to you today as well. And for all those who would like to get started on their journey to become a holistic healer and learn more about the certification program, all they need to do is visit the website, www.arukah.com, ARUKAH.com, and dig into that and schedule a discovery call. And I would love to be your mentor, your health coach, your teacher in guiding you to become a holistic healer, to become the healer of your home and your family and your community, and to help you build a profitable online health coaching business.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Mayim. So there we have it, folks. If you are ready to move forward in your own journey of becoming a holistic healer, then you can visit the website at www.arukah.com, where you can schedule your first discovery call. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.